JB here. Hope everyone's doing us on the May 2nd, 2025, 320. Really quick rant here. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. The market is rallying again today. It'll be the ninth session in a row, pending any crazy uh, headline. I mean, the S&P is up nearly 1.7% here on the stronger than expected jobs report this morning. Amidst all this other possible catalysts, we have news out headlines uh, earlier that China was ready to open up trade talks, especially wrapped around the fentanyl. Right? It's funny, right? I mean, that's the overnight for China. You would think it's past midnight, uh, early morning, and those headlines come out like who's talking, but I guess you have to have people talk to folks who are abroad, right? I mean, but it's just Friday, right? It's not like it's a Tuesday into Wednesday into Thursday. But good sign, and to me, it just points to something's going to happen this weekend probably, or there's going to be multiple headlines. Hopefully, not too crazy a gap, or no crazy bad negative ones either, and markets kind of find some footing. But pretty remarkable stuff. So 9 sessions in a row, and I think it's 2004 was the last time the S&P rallied for 9 straight days, and that's November of 2004. And then if some folks might not be alive for this one, September 1995 was 10 sessions in a row. So pretty historic stuff here. I mean, you know, I, those were probably different market situations. Who knows if the savings and loans crisis? I don't know back in 19 whatever what was going on then, but here it is. This is like a self-induced sell-off, right? So maybe it's not as historic in that regard, but needless to say, at the midst at the bottom. I mean, if we were staring at the bottom a couple of weeks ago, it certainly felt like, hey, we could probably keep going lower. And when the bottoms were when we're hitting 41 on the SPY, I mean, it didn't feel like we were going to go on an epic or historic rally a couple weeks later. So it tends to happen, and in the midst of the peak panic, right? It's almost like it seems like the market tends to find its footing. So, I still the difference again with this one and some of these other sell-offs has been the headlines, right? So we can bounce because you think the economy is going to recover, or whatever the situation is, the housing crisis is going to rebound or whatever. Uh, so that's one thing, but here you don't know what's going to change. We're going to fire Powell. We're not going to fire Powell. We're going to have a trade deal. We're not going to have a trade deal. We're going to have tariffs at 30%. Oh no, 100%. But then we're going to exempt them. But then we're going to roll them back, and so it's a lot of moving parts. So it makes it difficult to get convicted on the bounces, right? So hopefully we can find at least some footing where we're not in market's not in a position where it could tumble 2 or 3% on some negative headline, which I still think that's the case, right? But I mean, some risk has been removed. Anyway, so that's I mean, it was just like what 2 weeks ago, everybody was talking about the U.S. dollar being, oh, it's going to tank. It shows that people are not going to invest in the U.S. Blah blah. Same with the treasuries. I mean, those were all the canary in the coal mine, right? The black swan events, and those never happened. All right. Oh, well, knock on wood, right? Cross my fingers. But anyway, so S&P is back over its 50-day moving average, second day in a row. The 200-day moving average at 570. Pretty remarkable stuff. You take a look, we haven't been over the 50 days since late February. We haven't been over the 200 days since late March. So all things considered, maybe next week is the week. We have recovered the Liberation Day sell-off as well. So all good stuff, and just again, fingers crossed that we get in an environment where you can be a little more constructive on the long side without worrying that some other headline is gonna change that, right? Also, the VIX at lows not seen since the start of April. I think it was April 2nd, starting to get close to $20. And all good stuff. All right, so now just individual names. GPCR, VKTX rallying again today. GPCR up well, it was up a little more earlier, but up 2% today. I took the opportunity after the open to lock some more of my calls out for over 200%, and then I just held some more into next week, and then as depending on what the spreads are, I might like to get some June 35, some June 40, some to that effect. But I have the VKTX calls too, so I don't want to have too much risk on, and it's already performed well, so I'll just hold those for now into the weekend. But what a monster that one's been. And again, I keep saying I think it trades into the mid 30s, if not higher in the GLP-1 space. It's like it feels like it's just a kick in the butt away from just taking off to the next leg. So that's GPCR. Same with VKTX after it's somewhat red day yesterday on the heels of LLY earnings. I had up near, what was it, 4.5% now. It was over $30 at 11 o'clock. Just couldn't hold it. Would love to see it back over 30, but I'll take this close. And then, my 32s are still up 100% or a little more than 100%. I was looking to get some more strikes, but similar to GPCR, I'll probably just wait till next week. Um, the thing is that, I have the Mays, right? And of course, if there's some pullbacks next week, the premiums aren't going to hold up as well. So I kind of want to be in a spot where I look to close the Mays out and then um, start to get the roll into Junes. And I was looking at the Junes, and the Junes, I mean, the strikes go up to 42.50, but those are 76 by 83. So we'll have to see how next week plays out. So nice one as well. Still riding freebies on that, so it takes the risk out. And then some other trades today. I'm a little more aggressive today than I normally did. I tend to be over the last couple of weeks on Fridays. Just seems like the premiums are a little more attractive, and we have some volatile swings. So, and it's earnings season, so it's like a mix of all three ingredients there that I think makes trading lottos and spec calls and puts on a Friday more attractive. First was Reddit. I had that on the watch list. I mean, it was a great trade last week. Missed some of it this week, and then the earnings. I mean, monster beat. I mean, 60% growth. It's just a phenomenal story. And then it was giving back the pre-market gains in the pre-market, and then it was rolling over when the market opened. Then once it started to find some footing, I said this might rally up to past 130. I got the 130 calls in a matter of, I don't know how long, 20 minutes. I have to pull this up. Yeah, about 15 minutes or so, I was able to close someone out for over 100%, and I held the rest. And then it was bouncing around in the 120s and then just fizzled. So unfortunately, that didn't pan out. Uh, would had the right trade on. I thought it was the right rationale. You take a look at its moving averages of 50 days, 120.87. So I thought that was like the trigger point. Every time it found some weakness, it looked like it was bouncing, and then just the bottom fell out. So I don't know. I was mentioning in the chat room, is this another name similar to AppLovin that people, and I mean, it's substantially off its highs anyway, so who knows how much meat is on that bone to short, but it has a high short interest, and people, they come after these names. I call it the circle jerk, right? The same usual suspects come after these names. The AppLovins was the name. Guarded GL was a name. They thought was a Ponzi scheme or something. So they come after all these separate names all together and create some of these stories. Roblox. I mean, go take a look at the Roblox stock now, right? I think it's multi-month highs. Unity, right? Is that another? I'm just so. All right, so that was a Reddit trade. So, if I had to do it again, I would do it again. I thought it was a great setup. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to lock the rest in. But uh, Fridays, great, especially some of these names. Reddit has a high implied volatility. So as it gets closer to Friday, it makes it more attractive for multi-bag opportunities, right? And then RH. So, I kept talking. I was going to add some more RH strikes for next week. So I got the 220s. And then it kind of fizzled around. Then that news came out with China around the noon hour. And then boom, some of the names that have been hit excessively because of the China concerns start to rally. I went and got some of the 202.50s. And then I locked some of those out for over 100%. And then I locked some of the 220s out for like 150%. And then I'll just hold the rest on those. And then I was watching, and I could have got out some of the rest of some more of the 202.50s for like 300%. But I thought it was going to break and run the 205. That was kind of the plan. That didn't happen. And then boom, it dropped from 200 down to 197 about 30 minutes ago. So that kind of puts the kibosh on the last of those calls. But nice trade. And it's, I think, a couple weeks in a row. I think last week I did the same thing with RH, but I'll continue to nibble at, because I keep saying one day, whether it be a news event, a catalyst, whatever, it's going to be, I think it trades over 220 next week with or without any news. And now I'm riding free with some profit. So that's RH. And then W. Similarly, I was watching W yesterday and was only up 3% with its great earnings. And then it was running up a little bit today. Some analyst stop-ins, Morgan Stanley with still a solid price target. So with names holding up, I went and got some of the calls for next week. I was looking for monthlies, but I'm like, I think it runs into the mid 30s. And I think next week strikes are plenty of time. Sure enough, it runs up with RH as well. So I was able to close some of my calls out for over 100%. And I'll just hold the rest into next week. I mean, call me crazy. I think W can go to $40. So 30, I think it was 37.9 was the first gap fill. 35.17 is the next big spot. That's lows from the April Liberation Day. And then you look, it's all the way up $39 at the end of March. So those would be some key areas I'm watching. And then last but not least, I would say least, well, I added the exact science calls early in the morning. EXAS, I think it was one of my top five stocks 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I think the stock was trading in the 30s or 40s. I have to go back and look. But it's a great story, right? It's the color guard. It does cancer screening, things like that. I always talk about companies that, if you make money on the call side and they go up, it feels good because not only does the stock go up, you make money, but the company does well because it does well for people, right? If you have family members and elderly or whoever, and you want to make sure they live long, healthy lives, or everybody, right? And I shouldn't just say family members. Here's a solution that can help get early detection on things that could, get you uh, not prevent, but at least get you early treatment on a situation that might not be good for you, right? Cancer. So uh, there's a lot of competition in this space, but this is one that's like entrenched. It's like the first mover advantage and all that stuff, brand recognition, and it's been like a couple of years of just chopping around because it's like the growth is there, but people are waiting for new lines of tests and uh, things like that. And then it looks like this quarter they finally maybe they able to turn the corner. And you take a look, I mean, it's off substantially just from the start of the year was $60. So I thought here's an opportunity that maybe it's going to have some continuation. So I went and got some 60 calls. Sure enough, those have been cut in half. I might have timed the top actually. But good thing is it kind of rinsed out the sellers, right? All the way back down to 50 and then bounced back up to 53.50. So hopefully churned out the sellers. It can continue its rally, have some time on the strikes. And that's that. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. Uh, GameStop, it's only a couple cents away from that golden cross. Maybe some news soon. Uh, Trupanion, right? One of my favorite names from back in the day. I always uh, that's one of those names that has the cohort of short folks, right? People who wrote short pieces on this one for eons, at least 10 years, maybe at least maybe five, definitely 5 years, maybe 10 years, because I've been bullish Trupanion for a long time, and the same people always attack me on FinTwit and what have you. Uh, and here it is. I mean, the stock when used to be extremely bullish, it was a $20 stock, and it's an pet insurance company. So very easy to poke holes in that story and create the narrative or the fear, uncertainty, doubt, right? And you did a great job to do it, especially one of the first, the pioneer of the pet health insurance sector, right? Other names have come into space now, Lemonade and so on and so forth. So now there's serious competitive concerns, but to me, there's a huge addressable market for pet insurance, but not in, missed that one. Hopefully, have another great week. Lots of earnings on tap next week as well. Have the list out over the weekend. And that's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.